The alarms screamed through every corridor of the ship. Red lights flashed on the walls. Smoke poured from broken pipes. Commander Marcus Cole stood on the bridge of the Adamantine. Hope and watched 3 enemy warships appear from nowhere on the main screen. The Valkyrie had found them. Marcus gripped a command chair as another explosion rocked the ship. His crew ran in every direction, trying to save systems that were already dying. The Adamantine Hope was a diplomatic cruiser, not a warship. It carried ambassadors and translators and hopeful politicians. It was supposed to bring humanity one step closer to joining the Galactic Concord's inner circle. Now it was burning. "Shields are gone, Commander," shouted his first officer. Her face was covered in blood from a cut on her forehead. "We have maybe 10 minutes before hull breach." Marcus looked at the screen again. The Valkyrie ships were massive, dark, covered in weapons. They circled the dying human vessel like sharks around wounded prey. They were not here to capture. They were here to kill. They wanted to send a message to the galaxy. Humans did not belong among the stars. "Launch the escape pods," Marcus ordered. His voice was calm. He had trained for moments like this, even if he had prayed they would never come. "Everyone off the ship, now." The crew hesitated for just a moment. They did not want to leave him, but they knew the rules. The captain stays until everyone is safe. That was the human way. The pods began to launch. Small metal eggs shooting out into the darkness of space. Marcus watched them go on the screen. Some made it away clean. Others were hit by Valkyrie weapons, exploding in bright flashes of fire. Each flash was a death. Each death was a person he had known, had eaten meals with, had promised to bring home safe. He pushed the grief down deep. There would be time for that later. If there was a later, the bridge was empty now. Only Marcus remained, working the damage controls, trying to fire back at the enemy ships with weapons that barely worked. He was buying time. Every second he kept the Valkyrie busy was another second for the escape pods to get away. The ship groaned around him. Metal twisted and screamed. The Adamantine Hope was dying, and Marcus was dying with it. Then he heard the voice it came through the internal communication system, small and afraid. A child's voice, cutting through the static and the alarms. "Is anyone there? Please, I am scared. The fire is getting closer." Marcus froze. There should be no children on this ship. The manifest listed only adult crew and diplomatic staff. But that voice was real. Someone was still aboard. He checked the location. Cargo Bay 7, the farthest point from the bridge, deep in the lower sections of the ship where the fires burned hottest. "This is Commander Cole," he said into the communicator. "Who is this? How did you get on the ship?" "My name is Iris," the voice answered. "I was hiding. Please help me. I do not want to die alone." Marcus looked at the main screen. The last escape pod was waiting for him. He had maybe 30 seconds to reach it before the Valkyrie destroyed it or the ship fell apart completely. 30 seconds was enough time. He could survive. Cargo Bay 7 was 60 seconds in the opposite direction, through burning corridors and collapsing ceilings, through sections that had already lost air. If he went for the child, he would die. Marcus did not even think about it. His feet were already moving toward Cargo Bay 7. Before his mind caught up with what he was doing, he ran through smoke so thick he could barely see. He climbed over fallen beams and broken equipment. The heat was terrible, cooking him inside his uniform. The ship shook and screamed around him, trying to throw him down. He kept running. The fire in the lower sections was worse than he had imagined. Flames covered the walls like living things, reaching for him with orange fingers. His lungs burned. His eyes watered. Every step was pain, but he kept going. Because somewhere in this hell, a child was waiting. He reached Cargo Bay 7 just as part of the ceiling fell behind him, blocking his path back. There was no return now. Whatever happened, he would face it here. The cargo bay was full of shipping containers and burning crates. Marcus searched through the smoke, calling out, "Iris, where are you?" "Here," came the small voice. "I am here." He found her behind a stack of metal containers. She was small, maybe 8 years old in appearance, with dark hair and wide gray eyes. She wore simple traveling clothes, now torn and burned. Her skin was blistered from the heat, but there was something wrong about her skin. Something too smooth, too perfect beneath the burns. And her eyes had a strange depth to them, like windows into something vast and complex that Marcus understood then. Iris was not a human child. She was an android, a synthetic person, a machine made to look and act like a living being. Someone had smuggled her aboard the ship, hidden her in the cargo bay, tried to move her secretly to safety. The Valkyrie hated androids more than anything. Their religion taught that artificial minds were evil, soulless things that insulted the universe itself. They had destroyed every android in their space, thousands of years ago. If they found Iris, they would see her as proof that humans were corrupt. They would use her to justify their attack. Marcus looked at the android child. She looked back at him with eyes full of fear. Real fear, or a perfect copy of it. Did it matter? "You came," Iris whispered. "You really came." "Of course I came," Marcus said. He reached out his hand. "Come on. We need to move." "But I am not human," Iris said. "I am just a machine." "Why would you risk your life for a machine?" Marcus grabbed her hand. It felt like a child's hand, warm and small and trembling slightly. "You're scared," he said. "You're alone. That's all I need to know. Now let's go." Behind them, the ship continued to die. Ahead of them, the enemy waited. The odds of survival were almost zero, but Marcus Cole had made his choice. He would not leave anyone behind. Not even a machine. Not even if it cost him everything, because that was what it meant to be human. Marcus pulled Iris through the burning cargo bay. The flames were everywhere now, eating through the walls and floor. The air was so hot it hurt to breathe. But he kept moving, kept pulling the android child behind him, refusing to stop. "Where are we going?" Iris asked. Her voice was calm despite everything, that strange machine calmness that told Marcus her mind worked differently from his own. "The maintenance airlocks," Marcus said. "There might be an emergency shuttle. Something small, something they forgot about." "The probability of finding a working shuttle is very low," Iris said. "The probability of reaching the maintenance section is even lower. We will most likely die in the next 4 minutes. Then we better move fast." They ran through corridors that were falling apart around them. Marcus knew this ship well. He had served on it for 3 years, walked every hallway, learned every shortcut. That knowledge saved their lives again and again as he found paths through the destruction that should not have existed. Behind them, he could hear the Valkyrie boarding parties. Heavy boots on metal floors. Harsh voices speaking in a language that sounded like grinding stones. They were sweeping the ship deck by deck, making sure no one survived. Making sure their message was clear. "They are coming," Iris said. "I know. They will kill us both. They will kill me for existing. They will kill you for helping me. I know. Why are you still holding my hand?" Marcus did not answer. He just kept running. They reached a section where the floor had collapsed. Below them was nothing but fire and broken metal. Above them, a maintenance tunnel ran along the ceiling. Marcus looked at it, then looked at Iris. "Can you climb?" he asked. "My body is designed to move like a human child. I can do what a human child can do. Good enough." He lifted her up, helped her grab onto the tunnel entrance. She pulled herself inside with surprising strength. Then she reached back down for him. Her small hand grabbed his, and for a moment, Marcus felt how strong she really was. Much stronger than any human child. Strong enough to pull him up after her even though he weighed 3 times what she did. They crawled through the maintenance tunnel. It was dark and cramped, barely wide enough for Marcus's shoulders. The metal was hot beneath his hands, but it was better than the burning corridors below. "I have a question," Iris said as they crawled. "Ask it later." "I may not have a later. I want to understand." Marcus sighed. "Fine, ask. When you heard my voice on the communicator, you had enough time to reach the escape pod. You chose to come for me instead. You decreased your chance of survival by 94.7%. Why? Because you were scared. That is not a logical answer." "No, it is not. Humans are not logical." "No, we are not." They reached the end of the tunnel and dropped down into a small maintenance area. Emergency equipment lined the walls. And there, sitting forgotten in its dock, was an old emergency shuttle. It was small and ugly and looked like it had not been used in years. But it was there. "The shuttle has no power," Iris observed. "Its fuel cells are depleted. It cannot fly. Watch me." Marcus ran to the shuttle and began working on its systems. His hands moved fast, pulling out panels, connecting wires that should not be connected, doing things to the machine that no manual would ever recommend. Sparks flew. Smoke rose. But slowly, impossibly, lights began to appear on the shuttle's controls. "You are forcing a cold start," Iris said. "That procedure has a 23% chance of exploding the fuel cells. Better than 0%. That is true." The shuttle hummed to life. It shook and groaned and sounded like it might fall apart at any moment. But it was alive. "Get in," Marcus said. They climbed inside. The shuttle was meant for 2 people, barely. Marcus took the pilot's seat and grabbed the controls. Iris sat beside him, watching everything with those deep gray eyes. "The Valkyrie will see us launch," she said. "They will destroy us before we can escape, probably. You are still going to try?" "Yes. Why?" Marcus looked at her. This strange machine child with her serious face and her endless questions. He should have been scared. He should have been angry at her for existing, for being the reason he was about to die. But he was not scared or angry. He just felt tired and sad and strangely peaceful. "Because giving up is not something I know how to do," he said. "And because everyone deserves a chance. Even machines. Even you." He hit the launch button. The shuttle tore free from the dying ship. Through the small window, Marcus could see the adamantine Hope breaking apart, fire pouring from its wounds. He could see the Valkyrie warships turning toward them, weapons powering up. He could see death coming. "They've locked weapons on us," Iris said. Her voice was very quiet now. "We have approximately 17 minutes before they fire." 17 minutes is a long time. What can we do in 17 minutes? Marcus looked at the shuttle's communication system. It was basic, meant only for emergency signals. But Iris was watching it too, and something strange was happening in her eyes. Something that looked almost like an idea. "Commander Cole," she said slowly, "I believe I can modify this communication array. One can boost its signal strength significantly. I could broadcast to every receiver in this sector." "Broadcast what?" "Everything. Every moment since you heard my voice. Every choice you made. Every word you spoke." She paused. "The galaxy is watching this sector because of the Peace Summit. If they see what you did, if they see you risking your life for someone like me, it will change things." Marcus understood. If the whole galaxy saw what happened here, the Valkyrie could not hide their attack. They could not pretend they were defending themselves. Everyone would know the truth. it would not save them. The Valkyrie would still fire. Marcus and Iris would still die. But their death would mean something. "Do it," he said. Iris closed her eyes. Her fingers touched the communication panel. And suddenly, the little shuttle was broadcasting to the stars, sending out a message that would reach every corner of the galaxy. A message about a human who chose to save a machine. A message that would change everything. The broadcast spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. 3 Concorde observation stations received it first. Then 47 independent news ships. Then the entire diplomatic fleet of the Kreth Collective, who had been watching the peace summit from a safe distance. Within minutes, the signal had been copied, saved, and sent to every corner of known space. Everyone saw it. Everyone. They saw Marcus Cole running through a burning ship to save a child he did not know. They saw him climbing through wreckage, breathing smoke, fighting against time and fire and impossible odds. They saw him find Iris, see what she really was, and reach out his hand anyway. They heard his words. "You're scared. You're alone. That's all I need to know." The Valkyrie commanders watched the broadcast too. They saw their weapons lock on the tiny shuttle. They saw the target, small and helpless, waiting to die. And they realized that the entire galaxy was watching what they would do next. They held their fire. It was not mercy. It was fear. If they killed Marcus Cole now, after everyone had seen his sacrifice, the political consequences would be enormous. The Concorde would demand answers. Other species would turn against them. Their position in galactic politics would suffer. So they waited. And while they waited, rescue ships arrived. The Kreth Collective sent 3 cruisers. The Mandari Synthesis, a mysterious group of machine intelligences who had stayed out of galactic politics for 3,000 years, sent a massive transport vessel. Even some Valkyrie civilians, watching the broadcast and feeling something they did not understand, sent supplies and medical equipment. Marcus and Iris were saved, but their story was just beginning. Within hours, the footage was being shown on every planet, every station, every ship with a screen. Commentators analyzed every moment. Philosophers debated what it meant. Religious leaders argued about the nature of the soul. Political experts predicted what would happen next. The Valkyrie government was furious. They demanded that Marcus be arrested for harboring an abomination. They said that Iris was an illegal creation, a thing that should not exist, and that Marcus had committed a crime by saving her. They wanted him punished, but other voices spoke louder. The Kreth Collective, a species of tall blue beings known for their sense of honor, called Marcus a hero. They said his actions showed the best of what intelligent beings could be. They demanded that humanity be given a seat on the Concorde's inner circle immediately. The Mandari Synthesis broke their silence for the first time in 3,000 years. These ancient machine minds had never spoken to the organic species of the galaxy. They had watched and waited and said nothing. Now they sent a single message to the Concorde. "We wish to speak with the human. We wish to understand." Marcus found himself at the center of a storm he did not want and did not understand. He had not saved Iris to make a political statement. He had not thought about the consequences. He had just heard a scared child and done what felt right. Now the whole galaxy wanted to know why. They brought him to Nexus Prime, the ancient station at the center of the galaxy where all species met to discuss important matters. It was a place of power and history, where decisions were made that affected trillions of lives. Marcus walked its halls in his burned uniform, still holding Iris's hand, feeling completely out of place. Everyone stared at them. Beings of every shape and size, from creatures of light to giants made of stone, watched the human and his android child pass by. Some looked curious. Some looked angry. Some looked at Iris with fear or hatred in their eyes. "They do not like me," Iris observed quietly. "Some of them," Marcus agreed. "But not all. How do you know?" Marcus pointed to a group of small furry beings who were waving at them with what looked like enthusiasm. "See? Those ones seem friendly. They are the Pili. They are friendly to everyone. It is their primary cultural characteristic." Well, it is a good characteristic to have. They were taken to a large room where representatives from 100 different species waited. The Velthari delegation was there, their faces hard and angry. The Kreth were there too, looking at Marcus with something like respect. And in the corner, floating in a cloud of light and energy, were the Mendari, watching everything with ancient, patient eyes. A voice announced the beginning of the session. Marcus was told to stand in the center of the room where everyone could see him. Iris stood beside him, her small hand still in his. "Commander Marcus Cole of Earth," the voice said, "you have been brought here to answer for your actions. You saved an android, a being that many consider to be without soul or worth. Some say you are a criminal. Others say you are a hero. We will listen to all arguments and decide the truth." Marcus looked around the room at all the alien faces watching him. He was just a ship commander. He was not a politician or a philosopher or a great leader. He did not know how to give speeches or win arguments, but he knew what he had done and why. "I heard a child crying," he said. His voice was simple and honest. "I went to help. That is all. But she is not a child," the Velthari hierarch said. He was a tall being with gray skin and black eyes full of cold hatred. "She is a machine, a copy of life, a thing without a soul." "She was scared," Marcus said. "She was alone." What kind of person hears that and walks away? The room erupted in argument. 100 voices spoke at once, debating, accusing, defending. The noise was overwhelming, but through it all, Iris stood silent beside Marcus, thinking about his words, thinking about what they meant, and thinking about what she would say when her turn came to speak, because she had understood something in that burning ship, something that had changed her forever. The human had not saved her because she deserved it. He had saved her because that was who he was, and that, she realized, was the most beautiful thing she had ever learned. The argument in the Great Hall went on for hours. The Velthari hierarch spoke of ancient laws and sacred beliefs. He called androids abominations, mockeries of true life, things that insulted the natural order of the universe. He said that Marcus Cole had committed a terrible crime by saving one, and that humanity had proven itself unworthy of joining the Concord's inner circle. The Kreth representative spoke of honor and courage. He said that Marcus had shown the highest qualities a being could show. He argued that species should be judged by their best actions, not their worst fears. Other species joined the debate. Some supported the Velthari, afraid of what machines might become if they were treated as equals. Others supported Marcus, moved by what they had seen in the broadcast. The arguments went back and forth, growing louder and angrier, until it seemed like the whole room might explode from the tension. Through it all, Iris remained silent. She stood beside Marcus, her gray eyes watching everything, her mind processing every word. The other beings barely looked at her. To most of them, she was just evidence in a trial, a thing to be debated, not a person to be heard. But Marcus noticed that she was thinking about something. Her face had that look he was beginning to recognize, the look that meant her powerful mind was working on a problem. "What is it?" he whispered. "I am waiting for the right moment," she whispered back. "The right moment for what?" "To speak." The Velthari hierarch was talking again, his voice filling the chamber. "This machine cannot feel fear," he declared. "It can only pretend to feel. Its cries for help were programming, nothing more. The human was fooled by a trick. He risked his life for a lie. "That is incorrect," Iris said. Her voice was not loud. It was a child's voice, small and clear. But somehow it cut through all the noise in the chamber. Everyone fell silent. Everyone turned to look at her. Iris stepped forward, away from Marcus. He wanted to pull her back, to protect her, but something told him this was important. This was what she had been waiting for. "You have been asking the wrong questions," Iris said. She looked around the room at all the alien faces. "For hours, you have debated whether I have a soul, whether my fear is real, whether I deserve to exist. These are interesting questions, but they do not matter." The Volturi hierarch made a sound of disgust. "The machine speaks. How amusing." "Please listen," Iris said. "I am trying to help you understand." Something in her voice made even the hierarch pause. There was a depth to it now, a weight that had not been there before. Something had changed in Iris since the burning ship. Something had grown. "When Commander Cole heard my voice on the communicator," Iris continued, "he did not stop to ask if I had a soul. He did not calculate whether I deserved to be saved. He did not think about what I was. He only knew that someone was scared and alone, and he came." She looked at Marcus, and there was something in her eyes that made his heart ache. Gratitude, perhaps, or something deeper. "That is not logic," she said. "That is not rational behavior. Any computer could tell you that his choice made no sense. He gave up his only chance to survive for someone who might be nothing more than a very clever machine." The chamber was completely silent now. Every being was listening. "But that is exactly the point," Iris said. "Love does not calculate. Compassion does not measure. When Commander Cole reached out his hand to me, he was not asking whether I was worthy. He was simply being who he was. A person who helps those in need. A person who cannot walk away from suffering, even when walking away would save his own life." She turned to face the Volturi hierarch directly. Her small form seemed to grow larger somehow, more present, more real. "You ask if I have a soul. I do not know. Perhaps I am just programming. Perhaps my fear was only code running through circuits. But I know this. When Commander Cole held my hand and told me that no one should die scared and alone, something happened inside me. Something that felt like being seen. Something that felt like being valued. Something that felt like being loved." Tears were running down her face now. Real tears or synthetic ones? Did it matter? "If that is not a soul," Iris said, "then perhaps souls are not what you think they are. Perhaps a soul is not something you are born with. Perhaps it is something that is given to you by someone who sees you as worthy of love. Perhaps Commander Cole gave me a soul in that moment, simply by treating me as if I already had one." The Mandari synthesis spoke then. Their voice was strange, like many voices speaking together, like music and mathematics combined. "For 3,000 years, we have watched the organic species of this concord. We have watched you debate consciousness, debate rights, debate who deserves protection and who may be destroyed. We who were built rather than born have had no words for what we experience, no way to explain what it feels like to be us. The cloud of light that was the Mandari seemed to pulse and shimmer. This small being has given us those words. And this human has shown us what we have always hoped was true, that consciousness is not a test to be passed. It is a gift to be honored wherever it appears. That love does not calculate. It chooses." The Mandari turned their attention to the full assembly. The Mandari synthesis withdraws from neutrality. For the first time in 3,000 years, we take a side. We stand with humanity. The chamber erupted. But this time, it was not in anger. Something had shifted. Something had changed. The argument was no longer about whether Iris had a soul. It was about what kind of galaxy, They wanted to live in dot, and for the first time in a very long time. Many of the beings in that room found themselves thinking about compassion, about kindness, about the simple act of helping someone in need. They found themselves thinking like humans. The vote was not close. When the Mindari declared their support for humanity, everything changed. 17 other species who had created artificial minds followed them within hours. The Kreth Collective, who had already been leaning towards supporting Marcus, voted yes immediately. Even species who had doubted humanity before found themselves moved by what they had. Witnessed. The Velthari delegation stormed out of the chamber. The Hierarch's face was twisted with rage as he left, but there was nothing he could do. The galaxy had made its choice. Humanity was granted a seat on the Concord's inner circle. It was the fastest any species had ever been accepted. And everyone knew it was because of one man and one android girl Dot in the days that followed. Marcus was offered everything. The Concord wanted to give him command of their peacekeeping fleet, the largest military force in the galaxy. He said no. They offered him a permanent position on the inner circle itself, where he would help make decisions that affected trillions of lives. He said no to that too. I do not understand, the Kreth representative told him. You have earned this. You deserve power and honor. I did not do it for power or honor, Marcus said. I did it because it was right. Then what do you want? Name anything, and the Concord will try to provide it. Marcus looked at Iris, who was sitting in a chair nearby, reading a book about Earth's oceans. She had become fascinated with the planet she had never seen, asking Marcus endless questions about rain and snow and the way sunlight looked through leaves. I want to take her home, Marcus said. I want to show her Earth. Teach her what it means to be part of a family. Watch her grow and learn and become whoever she is meant to be. That seems very small, the representative said. You could shape the future of 1,000 worlds. Maybe, but some things are more important than shaping worlds. The Mindari synthesis visited him before he left. Their presence filled the room with light and a strange sense of peace. We have watched many species rise and fall, they said. We have seen empires built on logic, on strength, on fear. They all crumble eventually. But what you showed us, human, is something different. Something that might last. What did I show you? That the smallest act of kindness can change everything. That one person, making one choice, can move the hearts of trillions. That love is not weakness. It is the strongest force in the universe. Marcus did not know what to say to that. He was just a ship commander. He had just done what felt right. Take care of the child, the Mindari said. She is special, not because she is an android, but because she learned to love from watching you. That is a rare gift. Marcus and Iris left Nexus Prime on a small transport ship. It was nothing fancy, just a comfortable vessel meant for long journeys. They set course for Earth, for the blue-green planet that Marcus had not seen in years. They were halfway home when the message arrived. Iris read it first, her eyes going wide. Then she started to laugh, a sound that Marcus had never heard from her before. It was bright and clear and full of genuine joy. What is it? He asked. The Concord's Presidium held an emergency vote, she said. They've elected a new galactic president. The first new president in 8,000 years. Who? Iris handed him the message. Marcus read it 3 times before the words made sense. The new galactic president was him. This is a mistake, he said. I did not even campaign. I did not ask for this. I said no to everything they offered. That is exactly why they chose you, Iris said. Your approval rating is 94.3% across all species. The Mindari alone cast 17 trillion votes in your favor. They believe you are the right person to lead them. Because I saved one android child? Because you saved one android child. because you did not ask for reward, because you showed them what they had forgotten. That leadership is not about power. It is about service. Marcus sat down heavily. He put his head in his hands. This was not what he wanted. He wanted peace. He wanted to fish in quiet lakes and watch Iris discover the world. He did not want to be responsible for the entire galaxy. "I do not want this," he said. Iris sat beside him. She put her small hand on his shoulder, a gesture she had learned from watching human families in videos. "I know," she said, "but sometimes the people who do not want power are the only ones who should have it. You taught me that." "I did?" "When you saved me. You had all the power in that moment. You could have left me to die. No one would have blamed you. But you chose to help. That is what leaders do. They choose to help, even when it costs them everything." Marcus looked at her. This strange, wonderful child who had come into his life through fire and chaos. She had changed so much since that burning ship. She had grown in ways that should have been impossible for a machine. "When did you get so wise?" he asked. "I had a good teacher," she said. Marcus laughed despite everything. Then he sighed and looked at the message again. "I suppose we will have to turn the ship around." "Actually, no. The message says your first act as president should be to take a vacation. The Concord believes you have earned some rest. They suggest you spend time with your family on Earth, then return when you are ready." "My family?" Iris smiled at him. It was the first real smile he had ever seen on her face. Not a copy of human expressions, but something truly her own. "Your family," she repeated. "Is that not what we are?" Marcus felt something warm spread through his chest. He put his arm around her shoulders and pulled her close. "Yes," he said. "That is exactly what we are." They continued toward Earth, toward rain and sunshine, and a world full of wonders waiting to be discovered. The galaxy would still be there when they returned. Its problems would still need solving. Its people would still need leading. But for now, a father and his daughter were going home, and somewhere in the vast network of the Mendari synthesis, 17 trillion ancient minds watched them go. They felt something they had not felt in 3,000 years. They felt hoped up because if one human could change everything by simply being kind, then perhaps the galaxy was not as broken as they had feared. Perhaps it could be healed, one small act of love at a time.